let's get into the first topic of the panel. We will be looking at that Newcastle game on Sunday. Adam, do you think that was our best performance of the season? Because we have had some really good performances this season. Obviously, the Burnley game springs to mind, second half of Arsenal. But for that 90 minutes showing against Newcastle, do you think it was the best of the season?
Over the full 90 minutes, you could definitely make an argument for it. I struggle to, I still feel like my favourite moments that I've seen, or my favourite matches I've seen so far have included Mickey van der Ven and obviously James Maddison as well. So the fact that they weren't in the squad, I don't know if I could say, it's just watching what Maddison's able to do, tearing down the opponents in their final third, and Mickey, looking at Mickey van der Ven whenever he is chasing back, tracking back, and sweeping up behind. Those are some of the more iconic moments of the season, I think, that show really with the potential that we have, the incredible starting 11 that we have when we're firing on all cylinders. But I can see what you're saying, though. You can make a case for that because it was total dominance. Let's be fair. We made Newcastle look absolutely amateur. Now, their away form has been pretty bad in general, and they are suffering with a lot of losses similar to ourselves, like in terms of the squad, a lot of injuries and whatnot. So, I don't want to dismiss them too much when they're at a loss as well. But we went out and we were absolutely profound. It was to see, and obviously there'll be questions about this, I'm sure, as we go. But just to see Basuma and Sarr back together again, and to see the effect that has playing against what should be a team that's up there in terms of competing with us for the top 4 spot. And we're absolutely all over them. It was tremendous to see, and yeah, you could totally make the argument that it was our best game. But I just can't. If that's our best game, still missing probably the 2 most pivotal players in the team, I can't wait to see what we do when we've gotten completely used to Ange Ball, when we've got a fully fit and firing starting 11. Like, who's going to be able to take us on? Absolutely nobody.
Absolutely nobody. We went to the Etihad and nicked the draw with Emerson Royale and Ben Davis at centre-backs. Imagine if we went up there with Coutinho Romero, Mickey van der Ven. But Dave, I felt like Pape Matasars gave us a lot of balance in that midfield, and he was sorely missed coming into the game, the last 4 or 5 games that he has missed. But do you feel like that was the case, and that was our best performance of the season?
100%, I think it was our best performance of the season. I think it's the first 90 minutes we've seen at Tottenham actually in quite some time, even going back under Conte, Jose Mourinho and Nuno. I think it's the first 90 minutes performance I've seen in years. But I think the reason why I put it down to is we look the most balanced I've seen us in quite some time. Son back out to his normal position, Son in his normal position. Pape Matasars, I think what we've missed with Pape Matasars is the work rate and the energy. How many times did he turn that ball over in the opposition third? We've missed that the last few weeks. Other teams' counters have been very, very effective on us the last few weeks, whereas with Pape Matasars back in the time, he snuffed out a lot of them. So I think in that regard, he adds so much to this team, and potentially looking at it, because no one else does what he does in terms of work rate, getting around, breaking up play in the opposition third, which is ideally where we want to be breaking up the play. You could almost nearly make the argument, is he one of our most important midfielders? Is that position nailed on for him? Because he was absolutely brilliant. You look back at the turnover that he done for Brennan Johnson, where Brennan Johnson, I think, hit the post, where he went back into right back and filled in for Pedro Porro. We were missing that the last few weeks. No one really wanted to do that sort of work rate. He's a real team player, and I'm absolutely buzzing for the kid. I remember going back to the San Siro last year when he played. He was miles better than Skip, but for some reason, Conte preferred Skip. Pape Matasars' all-round game is better than his, and I'm glad that Postecoglou has given him the chance, and he's grabbed it with both hands. And with his absence, with him coming back, he's showing how important he is to this team, I feel.
Sim, do you agree?
What about Sarr? Or about
Sarr and the best performance of the season?
I think obviously the first 10 games of the season we were really good, and in terms of the balance of the team was great. I felt like defensively we were really strong, not giving away too many chances. But I felt like offensively we still had more to maybe give, I felt, in the first 10 games. I thought we showed sprouts of being this team who could, go all out, create loads of chances and really take the game to the opposition. I felt maybe a bit more controlled. Like, for example, like games like Palace, games like Fulham at home. We played well, we controlled the game, but it wasn't like we created a bucket load of chances. We just had more control of the game, and we managed the games very, very well, and we had those moments of quality when we needed them. But I felt like Sunday was the first time this season I really felt that sense of control and that sense of excitement kind of throughout the whole team, and in terms of going forward as well.
Maybe the other game that's comparable to that is maybe Burnley away. Earlier in the season, we scored 5 goals. We battered them pretty much for 90 minutes. That's probably the only game that's comparable to it, right?
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. I would say in that Burnley game, obviously we went 1-0 down, and then we completely took control of the game, and we completely battered them for the rest of the game. And they had very little answer to what we had in our team. Obviously, Newcastle is a different kettle of fish. I know they got injuries, and I know they were clearly running on empty, and that was important to take into account. You know, they're very much struggling away from home against lots of teams at the moment. So I think Adam is 100% right when he says that it's not that it was an easy game, but you got to take that into consideration when you talk about how amazing Spurs were. Newcastle, they were just on their feet. You could see they really struggled with the intensity and the energy of Spurs. That was their biggest failing, I felt. But in terms of Tottenham ourselves, I think that's the most chances we've created throughout the whole season. I really felt we stifled Newcastle massively during the game. Apart from that one chance from Isaac right at the beginning of the game, they had very little in terms of chance creation. Tottenham just purely dominated Newcastle in terms of possession, and whenever we went forward we looked creative. I felt Kulusevski being back in the centre, he just had more options to play with when he's picking up the ball. I thought his chance creation was brilliant. I thought Pedro Porro, when he's passing from deep, he's if you're not pressing him and you're not restricting his time on the ball, he's proving that he's every bit as good as a lot of midfielders when he's on the ball, Pedro Porro. And you know, look, I can go into every player, but I felt like definitely this game we had that balance and of like loads of chances created and really stifling the opposition when it comes to their chances created. And I feel like during the season, sometimes the balance has been decent, but I think this was the first time it was at its peak. I felt like this season, probably, I would say. I think a lot of games we've restricted the opposition by having created too much ourselves. A lot of games we've created a lot, but also given a lot. Like Villa, we created a lot, but also we gave up a lot as well. Like the balance wasn't quite right. But I felt like this game, the balance was absolutely spot on, and it's no surprise that was a consequence of Saab and Basuma playing together for the first time. Romero's back in the team as well, and also having Richie back in the form that he's been in, back in like the form after his surgery. He's looking sharper. He was pressing from the front. He added that energy as well. So I think for me, 100% best performance of the season, and the balance finally seemed to be there.
When you're looking at the game, Adam, you know, obviously on paper, really difficult game at home to Newcastle, Champions League team. They dicked us 6-1 last season. Does it take any of the shine away, or maybe how hard we think the narrative of the game is when they're 16th on away form the whole season, only 5 points picked up, which is the same as Burnley, Nottingham Forest, only 1 point more than Luton? Does that take a bit away from the performance and result, or is it the same either way?
I don't think so personally, because I was saying this to Sean and to Dave very recently, that I'm long-term optimistic and short-term pessimistic at the moment, just for the fact that we have so many injuries. It put us in the position where I genuinely felt that for the next number of games we were going to end up with losses and draws across the board, up until about Bournemouth is what I was saying. But not because I didn't have faith in Ange, not because I didn't think that we still had some star-studded players, but it's just that with the way that things weren't gelling, the way that we had such a strong squad for the first number of games, and then suddenly we have to completely replace so many 6-7 players. I wasn't expecting us to do well at any rate. And so when I'm looking at it from that perspective, I can only see positive. I don't see any shine being taken off of the situation. I see it as we overachieved. We did more than what I was anticipating, more than what I was expecting. Even though as I say, you're playing against a team that, and you pointed out as well, Newcastle have not done very well at all away, and that there's a degree to which you're expecting us to go out and do something. But we should have done something against Villa. We should have done something against West Ham as well, and it just wasn't working. So I certainly don't look at it from the perspective of seeing it as this. There's, there are negatives, or we should be looking at it with, that it's only half. The glass is only half full because of the team we were playing against. We could have easily gone out and lost that game. It's depending on the attitude we had, depending on the way that the players chose to go out and perform on the back of so many poor results. They could have had their confidence knocked and gone out there and been decimated on the back of just of playing against a very strong team and feeling like we were rattled, and not feeling like we were in good form. That's not the attitude they went out with. They went out with the attitude thinking, we're going to play our football. This is eventually going to click. This is eventually going to work. And in doing that, we got the points that we deserved on the day. So I wouldn't take anything away from what we saw on that particular in that game. I think that you can only look at it as positive in every single aspect. You can only look at it as positive as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, totally agree. And Dave, I remember speaking to you on your show with me, you and Sean, was it last week or the week before, saying, we're on this bad run, but I was telling you I wasn't worried because, you can see what Ange is trying to do. You can see, we just need to fine tune a few things in the final third. And are we seeing that now?
Yeah, I think we're starting to see it. Look, I'm a big backer of Ange. When you put his style of football, which has been questioned all sort of season long, mainly by the media and the pundits out there, when you put it to the litmus test, Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United, teams like that, and I'd argue Chelsea if Romero didn't get sent off, that's the litmus test of it, because they're the teams that you have to ultimately beat, whether you want to pick up a domestic trophy in this country or whether you want to go on and win a league title. So when you put Ange Ball to the litmus test, I think it absolutely passes. My only worry was, would the sort of same old problems come back to haunt us? Because when you go back and look at patterns at this football club, Pochettino sacked in November, Nuno sacked in October. We got off to a very similar start after 13 games last season under Conte. It fell off around October, November, December when the international break started kicking in. Jose Mourinho, we were top of the league up until December. It fell off. So we actually historically over the last 4 years have a history of falling off around October, November, December in these sort of periods. And my worry was that the squad were yet again, when things go tough, ready to throw this manager under the bus. But where I think Postecoglou will not suffer the same fate as them other managers, which, by the way, I don't believe was the problem at Tottenham either, by the way, was he made some brave calls. What other manager in his predicament would have moved Son out in the middle, being our top goal scorer this season, the caliber of the player he is, and put him back out onto the left where it could have easily backfired? He's made a number of different changes, bringing Kulu off the wing through the middle to try and get us out of this period. He's more proactive about it in terms of his team selection. Look, I'm not really worried. I'm not really worried about where this is going to go. I'm actually positive. I think Ange is the right man for this football club. He sort of that period with all the injuries. Yeah, you could argue they're unlucky. I'd argue we made that problem in the summer by not doing enough squad rotation. We've still got players here that have not contributed this season that we knew needed to go in the summer. They would have freed up spaces for us to be able to bring more players in. How long have we been talking about doubling up on centre-backs here? Last January underneath Antonio Conte, we were told by the press, we're not getting any this January, we're getting 2 in the summer. We only brought in 1 for the first team this summer. Then when we get injuries with Van de Ven and Romero out, we're relying on guys that just either ain't good enough or pulling them in from other positions, and it's come back to haunt us. It's the same every single season. When Premier League fixtures, League Cup fixtures, international fixtures, European fixtures, which we don't have this year, which is fine. Well, it's not fine, actually. As a Spurs fan, we should always be in Europe. But, when the fixtures come in thick and fast, we carry injuries, we carry suspensions. It's a normal part of football. But what we don't have is the squad depth to be able to get through this period. But thankfully, Ange is willing to do stuff differently, which means, pull players in and ask them to do different other jobs, which is helping us get out of this period where I think other managers maybe not let themselves down, but maybe failed to do so in years gone by. So he's not just lying down on his sword and accepting it. He's being proactive about it. I'm really positive about Ange Postecoglou. I think what Jamie Redknapp said the other night was absolutely spot on, where he said, if Spurs sort of had better squad depth and we didn't have that period, we'd be top of the league right now.
Yeah, we really would. And a question back at you on that one, Dave, then, like when you're looking at the league table now and everything that we've been through over the last 4 or 5 weeks, only 7 points behind the top, only 6 points behind Arsenal in second. Can we do the unthinkable?
Look. Nothing's impossible, right? I'm one of them. I like to believe everything's impossible. If someone tells me it's impossible, I like to believe it's even more possible than ever before.
I'm only asking you this, Dave, because you used to come in here under Jose, under Conte, under everyone and say we're going to win the league. So I'll be disappointed if you can't say we win the league now.
Do you know what? If you asked me after 10 games or on that run, I would have said, yeah, no problem. Why can't we?
10 games or 10 points?
No, 10 games, 10 games. Well, both had them, to be honest. But look, we have to. When I look at it, there's still certain individuals that I think aren't contributing and aren't good enough to be here. Whether with the performances have been there the last few weeks, when certain individuals step into the team, we keep saying we lose games regardless of the performance. So until that sort of changes, I'm not quite so sure. Look, if I bring the look of the Irish and we have great luck, we can get players back and stay injury-free season with all the other clubs sort of in Europe. Who knows? But look, right now, I'd take Champions League football, to be honest with you. From where we were in the summer, from where we were last season, no direction. Every fan pissed off with the club, selling your best player. Look, I would have snapped your hand just to finish off in the top half of the table, but I'll definitely take top 4. But look, you just never know. Football's a wonderful game.
It most definitely is. And, you're looking at the fixture list, actually, and it does get me excited just looking at that fixture list because from now until April, we don't play, apart from Chelsea and Man U, we don't play any of the classic top 6 until April, which is crazy to me. I mean, you look at those games and, like, every single one of them, bar maybe Villa away, Newcastle away, back, that's also in April, look kind of winnable.
So we're all in agreement then.
We've got a load of games.
Go on, David.
We've got a load of games that are winnable. Oh, what's going on?
No, we can hear you, mate. I'm going to
log out, log back in. My
we can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay. All right. Yeah, look, we've got a favourable run of fixtures, but it all depends on the attitude. Against West Ham, I thought the attitude was piss poor. I don't think there was anyone there that really sort of wanted to go and grab the Graham by the scruff of the neck. If they realised it was a derby game and they felt it the way us fans would, they would have wanted to put West Ham to the sword. No one really wanted to step up. Look, I'd argue that's because we waste Son down the middle. When we were actually looking for someone like Son off the left to drive at players and make something happen. But look, they have to go into these games with the right attitude. Are they hurting because of that run of results? Let's wait and see. Squads in years gone by haven't been hurting on the run of results. There's a repeat of Jose left this club saying Tottenham don't want to be winners, whether you like them or not. Conte left this club saying Tottenham don't want to be winners. They can't play when the pressure's on. You look at Harry Kane when he left, whether people like the words or not. He said winning at Tottenham isn't the be all and end all. There's no consequences if you don't win. So it all depends whether we have a team that's hungry enough. There's a great saying, hungry dogs run faster. We were hungry Sunday. How long can we keep that going for? Because if we get back up into a title challenge, the pressure is all on again. The scrutiny on the club, Postecoglou, the players, ramps up tenfold like it did after that 10-game run. When that pressure comes on, we cannot handle it. We've shown that historically. So it's about whether they're hungry or not. Like I said, hungry dogs run faster.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I think you're right. We've got a favourable fixture list between now and April in terms of there's no game you're going into it thinking there's no reason why we can't go and win that game. But Premier League I think this season is the most competitive I've seen it. And I think it's not about just getting the wins where you're expected to win. That's only half the job in a way, because I feel like a lot of teams at the moment are not winning games they're expected to win, and that if you're doing that, you're doing something incredible. So I don't think it's as easy as just winning those games you're expected to win, because all those games are going to be very, very difficult. I'm not looking at top place still. As much as we're close there, and we're 7 points away, 16 games gone. Obviously, that's not that far away, and if you go on a run, who knows? But I'm still looking at top four. That's my focus at the moment, and that's very much gettable. And look, I think that has got to be the aim this season. I don't think you can be thinking about a title challenge, but I think as well, come later in the season, come March, April time, other teams might still be in Europe. We're going to still be playing one game a week. If we're there or thereabouts, then you start to think about maybe there is a real chance to really go for something special this season, because I'm sure the teams up there challenging for the title will probably have extra games. That's when squads get stretched and the pressure's on. And that's where we might have an advantage if we're actually still in a race at that point. But it's all about getting to April still in a position where you can actually say we can actually have a good go at it.
Yeah, I love it that we're sitting here talking about potentially winning the league when we've lost like 4 out of our last 6 games. But that's Tottenham Hotspur for you. But
You
anyway,
brought it up.
I know I brought it up. I know I brought it up. Look, you got a dream. You got a dream at the end of the day. And when you're only 6 points behind Arsenal, and in the next 2 games we've got Forest away and Everton at home. Yeah, I know Everton are on great form, and Arsenal have to go to Anfield in that time, and they always seem to drop points at home to Brighton. We could, in the next 2 weeks, we could be 3-4 points behind Arsenal, and it could be turn into actually a dogfight or something going into the next few months.